Hello everyone, welcome to the InfyTQ awareness session. Hope you might have seen our earlier videos and liked them. So as you know, there are majorly 4 modules here in the InfyTQ platform. The first one being the basic Python programming, the second one being the object-oriented programming using Python, the third one is data structures and algorithm using Python, and the fourth one is database management system. So now let us go through data structures and algorithms. So coming in this data structures and algorithms with Python, you have 2 parts. The first part covers stacks, queues, linked list, hash, and the second part covers the algorithms, that is the different strategies to solve the problems. So now let us just talk about data structures. So major concepts in data structure is list, stack, queue, trees, graphs and hash. So I'll not be discussing the conceptual part. So let us more focus on the InfyTQ platform questions. That is majorly you will be getting 10 MCQs with respect to data structures and algorithm and object oriented programming. So let us see how to tackle the problems. So first let me just tell you list. Yes, it is a data structure which can be implemented using arrays as well as linked list. Similar to that, we have stacks, queues, again that can be implemented using arrays and linked list. So queues, we have 2 different queues, one is linear and one is circular. And then comes trees and graphs. So here the major operation in all these data structures is insertion and deletion. So these insertions and deletion operations are called differently in different data structures. So for example, if we talk about stack, in stack we call the insertion operation as push and deletion operation as pop. So similarly in queue, we call it as NQ and DQ. And when it comes to trees, again insertion, deletion. Again you have insertion, deletion. And when we want to display the content of all these, in stack we just use display, again in queue display. In trees we have different ways of traversing. Similarly in graph we have 2 different ways. One is depth first search and the other one is breadth first search. So depth first search that we are going to use stack for it and breadth first search we use queues for it. Next is hashing. Summarizing the data structure. So the major operations that we come across in the data structure is insertion, deletion and display. So as told, insertion, deletion and display, all the operations are called differently in different data structures. So as discussed, stacks, it is push and pop and display, queue, NQ, DQ and display, trees, again insertion, deletion and then the traversal for displaying. So now talking about the hash, again hashing is also one of the data structures where we are going to make use of hash table. So this is about the data structures. Yes, so friends, a quick recap on nonlinear data structures, trees and graphs. As I told, we have traversals for displaying the content of the tree or graph, or we call it as nodes. Visiting every node has a data and we are going to display the data in a certain order. So in trees we have pre-order, in-order and post-order. So now the point is whether for searching also we need to traverse the graph or tree. Yes, definitely we need to traverse, but it depends on the trees that we are going to traverse. For example, if it is a normal tree, then we do not know where the key element is. So we might have to traverse or we might have to visit all the nodes searching for the key element. But if the tree is a binary search tree, then we need not visit all the nodes. We just compare with the node and then we check whether we need to visit the left subtree or the right subtree. So this is what is the difference. So definitely you will have to traverse, but you need not visit all the nodes. That depends again on the tree. Similarly, so let us just look into graph. Again in graph, as I told, for displaying you have two traversals, one is depth first search and one is breadth first search. Now similarly for graphs, we have two ways of traversing, one is depth first search and one is breadth first search. So again, for displaying we traverse. So here depth first search is nothing but traversing from one node to another node vertically, and breadth first search is traversing from one node to all the nodes that is connected to it, or we can say it as horizontally. So now let us discuss one or two examples on these data structures. So you might find plenty of MCQs in most of the websites, but here in InfyTQ there are certain examples given, and talking about MCQs, majority you will get a code snippet and you will have to tell what is the output for that code snippet. So here I have taken one or two examples. So first example is on stack. So first let us see what is it. So first you have been given a stack and already the data is there. So it is top to bottom. So we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 integers in the stack. So you need to first understand this code snippet and tell what is the output. And here the note is given that you need to display the element from top to bottom. So let us see. So this is the function given. So first in number what you are going to store. So let us just take, here I am taking this. Yes. So there are, yes, first one is num. So this is a variable where we are storing whatever is the size minus 1, so that we can traverse or we can visit the items in the stack. So here size is nothing but 5 because we have 5 elements, that is what is the size taken. So 5 minus 1 is 4. So in num we are going to store 4. Then a loop is there until this is equal to 0, we are going to run this loop. So here the first you can see there is one more variable top element where we are going to store whatever is there in the top of the stack. So first we are going to pop that element and then store it in top element. So if I look at the stack, the first element here is 5. So I am going to pop that and I am going to store it in top element. Then you can see here we are creating a temporary stack. So this is what is the temporary stack I have taken. And what you are going to do is, again the size is whatever is the size of the input stack. So here the input stack size is 5. So the same size we have taken here for the temporary stack. So if you see this, we have the stack size as 5. Now next, again one more variable element. Again we are going to store the next item whatever is there in the input stack. So we are going to pop that and we are going to store it in element. So now what is there on top of the stack? 4. So we pop it and we store it in element. So now we are going to push an element to the temporary stack. So let us see what is that element. That is nothing but whatever is the value in element and top element. We are going to find the sum of this and push it to the stack, that is temporary stack. So now as you know we have this top for every stack and it will be pointing to the topmost element. So here we have the temporary stack is empty. So first we are going to increment this top value and then to that place we are going to insert the value or push the value. So here it is nothing but 5 plus 4. So 5 plus 4 is 9. So we are going to push that 9 to the stack. So now again the next, you can see the next line is the condition. So what is the condition? Whether the temporary stack is empty or not. Yes, now you can see that the temporary stack has a value. That means the stack is not empty. So now this condition is true. So again we'll check the next condition. So next condition is we are checking the input stack whether it is empty or not. So input stack is also not empty. So now the statements get executed. So what is it? We are going to push something to the input stack. So this is our input stack. We need to push something to the input stack. That is nothing but we are taking the element from temporary stack and input stack and finding the sum of it So what is there in temporary stack? 9. So we are going to pop that 9. What is there in the input stack? 3. So we are going to pop this 3. And then we are going to find the sum of 9 and 3. So 9 plus 3 is 12, and we insert that 12 to input stack. So here we have 12. And then you can see after the if and else, input stack dot push. So we are going to push something to the input stack. So that is nothing but the top element. So what is there in top element? 5. So we are going to push 5 to this stack. So this now again number we are going to reduce by 2. After checking this condition, now the condition is true. So it will enter the statement. So here what we are going to do is we are going to push something to the input stack. So what is that? So first we are going to pop the element from temporary stack, pop the element from input stack. We are going to find the sum of those two and then push it to the input stack again. So when we are popping and pushing, so we make sure that the top value is updated. So when I pop this, so first I'll pop the element and then decrease the value of top. So here again I'll pop this element and again decrease the value of top. So now 9 and 3 have been eliminated or popped from the stack. So 9 plus 3 is 12. So I'm going to push 12 to the stack. So 12, sorry, before pushing we just increment the value of top and then push it to the stack. Now again, out of this condition, again we are going to push an element to the stack, that is input stack. What is that element? Is top element. So in top element we have 5. So increment the value of top and then push 5 to the stack. So again now number is decremented by 2. So reduce this 4 by 2. So we have 2. So again it will come back. So 2 is greater than 0. So again these steps will be repeated. So again in top element now we have whatever is there on the top of the stack. So what is there on top of the stack? 5. So we pop this, we decrement the value of top, we store it in top element. Now again temporary stack. So you can see again getting the size. So size is nothing but we are creating the temporary stack again and the size is 5. Now again element, it is nothing but input stack dot pop. Again from the input stack whatever is there on the top we are going to pop that, decrement the value of top and we store it in element. So we had 12. Now in the again we are going to push an element to the temporary stack. So that is nothing but whatever is there in element plus whatever is there in top element. So in these two variables we have 5 and 12. So we are going to add these two values and push it to the temporary stack. So now increment the value of top and then push temporary element plus element, which is nothing but 17. Now again we check this condition whether the temporary stack is empty or not. Temporary stack is not empty. Again input stack is also not empty. So it will come to this statement. So now again whatever is there on the top of the temporary stack and whatever is there on the top of the input stack, we are going to pop these two. So input stack, what is there? 2. So I'm going to pop this, decrement this top value. Again I'm going to pop this, decrement the top value. So now we had 2 and 17. So what we are going to do? We are going to push 2 plus 17 to input stack. So 2 plus 17 is 19. So 19 we are going to push it to the input stack. Now again at the end of this condition we have one more push statement. We are going to push whatever is there in top element. So top element we have 5. So we are going to push that 5 to the input stack. So increment the value of top, push 5. And then we have number is equal to number minus 2, decrementing the value by 2. So if I decrement the value by 2, what is stored in num? We have 0. So now if I see 0 greater than 0, the condition fails. So this will come out of the loop, and finally we are going to return the input stack. If I return the input stack, the content is, there are 3 elements, 5, 19 and 1. And here there is a note given saying that you need to display the content from top to bottom. So if I display the content from top to bottom, we are going to display it as 5, 19 and then 1. So now what would be the output for this? The output for this is the option D, that 5, 19 and 1. We saw what is the output for this. Now let's just have a quick look over this question and the solution. So you can see the question asked is, what will be the elements of the stack when we run this particular code? So here we have got a code snippet. So certain conditions will be there. So based on the conditions, we just run the code and we see what updations can be made. Here we are taking the input stack and we are updating the same input stack multiple times. So at the end of all the iterations, what is the input stack that we get, that we are supposed to return. So that is what is the output for this code. And it has been asked that you are supposed to print the elements from top to bottom. So that is the reason option D is correct. See, though we have in option 1, 1, 19 and 5, this way also we can print the element of the stack, but it is clearly given that we have to print it from top to bottom. So that is the reason option D is correct compared to option 1. So this is how you need to understand what is the code. As you run through the code, as you visit each and every line of the code, you need to visualize the stack. That is what updation and what operation is being performed on the stack. So that is what we did here. Every line, we just visualized what is the stack content. So that is the reason we were easily able to get to the solution. So this is a small example on stack. So now let us see an example on linked list. The question is, what is the output of the following function when head node of the following linked list is passed? So the list consists of 5 elements. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So head is holding the address of the first node. The first node content is 1 or the data is 1. The address of this is stored in head. So that is what is given to us, and this is the code snippet given. So we are passing head value to the function. So first we are checking the condition whether head is equal to none. So here we have some value in the head because the first node's address is stored in head. So this condition fails. It will go to the next condition. So here the next condition you can see head dot get next. Get next is nothing but getting the next address. So here address of the second node you will get. Dot get next, again that means address of the third node. So then we are just checking whether it is not equal to null. So that means we are checking whether the address field of the second node is null or not. So here it is not equal to null because we have the content in the third node. So now what we are going to print is, we are going to print head dot get data. That is nothing but head is having the address of the first node. First node data is 1. So you will print 1. Now you can see we are calling the function again. So this is a recursive call. So now let us see how this recursive function works. So let us make use of stack. So here you can see I have written the same code snippet here. So initially head, address of the first node. So head is holding the address of the first node. So address of the first node, already we have some content, so it is not equal to none. So we check whether that head dot get next. So is it equal to null? No, it is not equal to none. So we are going to print the data first. So what will be printed? 1 will be printed. So I'll just print the data here. So 1 will be printed. After printing 1, we are going to call this function again. So this function again with the new value. So new value in the sense we are updating the head value. So now head will hold the address of the second node. So second node, see here, it is nothing but address of this node with data 2. So now again we are going to check, no, it is not equal to null. So again now head dot get next dot get next. So if you see, address field of this is not equal to null, address field of this is not equal to null. So this condition is true. So again we are going to print the data. So here what is the data? Head value is pointing to the second node. So the data of the second node is 2. So we are going to print it. So here, let me just print it here only. So I printed 1. Now I am printing 2. And again I am calling the function with updated head value. So here the head value will be pointing to the address of the third node. So you can see here, so it is address of the third node. So address of the third node, again the link part of this or the next part of this is not null. Again next of next, this is also not equal to null. So again you are going to print the data. So here the data is 3. So I am going to print 3. And then again it will trigger function with updated head value. So here again the head value is now what? It is pointing to the address of the fourth node. Now if I see, head value is not equal to null, but if I look at this condition, head dot get next dot get next. So head is pointing to this, get next, you have an address, again get next. Now this is the last node of the list. So the next field is empty here, that is none. So this condition fails. So now what I am going to do is I am going to print head dot get data. Head is pointing to the address of the fourth node. So what is the data? Data is 4. So I am going to print 4. And then I am going to return back from where the function was called. So this, it will return back to this function from where it was called. So in this statement, it is done. So now we have one more statement after that. Again print head dot get data. So here the head was pointing to the address of the third node. So here again we are going to print the value at the third node, that is nothing but 3. Now again from here we are going to return back to the function from where it was called. So it was called from here. So after returning, now again head dot get data should be printed. So what we are going to print? We are going to print the data at the second node. So that is nothing but 2. And then again after this, again we are going to return back from where it was called. So we have returned back to this. So here after this statement, again there is a print statement. So this statement will print the value at head. So head value, what is it? Head is pointing to the address of the first node. So first node value is 1. So we are going to print 1. So this is what happens in this code snippet. So let us see whether we have this option. Yes, the option 2 is the right answer for this. So we need to imagine both list as well as stack and then try to get the solution. With these two examples, we have understood how to approach a given problem and how to go through it and arrive at the correct solution. With these two examples of data structures, we have understood how to walk through the code snippet and arrive at the proper solution. Yes, now let us look into algorithms. Algorithms is majorly about the strategies to solve the given problems. Problem can be solved in multiple ways, but the major thing is how you optimize the code. Optimization is reducing the time taken to solve a given problem. So here, the major concepts that are covered here is searching algorithm, sorting algorithm. So linear search and binary search. So linear search, we call it as the technique is brute force technique, and binary search, it is nothing but divide and conquer. So if I say I have been given a list, and if the key element is present in the first position, then which algorithm do you think is better, linear search or binary search? So if the key element is present in the first position, then linear search is better because it gives the order of 1. So we are going to find the element in the first search itself. Similarly, if I ask, if the element is present in middle of the list, that is the exact middle element is the key element, then I can say binary search is the best searching technique that I can apply, because again binary search, it divides the content and first it compares the key element with the middle element. So again in that case the order will be order of 1. And in any other thing, whether the key is present in somewhere else, then it is always better to go for binary search. Why binary searches? Because binary search, the order is big O of log n. So here you need to understand what is the scenario. Based on this scenario, you need to tell which algorithm suits the scenario. Coming to the sorting algorithms. So majorly we have two techniques again here. One is brute force and one is divide and conquer. So here again in brute force we have so many sorting algorithms. So let it be selection sort, insertion sort, bubble sort and so on. And here in divide and conquer we have two techniques. One is merge sort and the other one is quick sort. So we were discussing regarding time complexity analysis. So we were discussing regarding optimizing the code. So here the problem is to check whether the given number is prime or not. So what we have done is we have not written the entire code, but we have just written a function here. So as I told, any given problem you can write in multiple ways. The logic here for all the given options are correct, but let us see what is the optimized code to check whether the given number is a prime or not. So here in the first option, I have taken the loop from the range 2 to n. Here this means the loop will run for n minus 2 times. So the loop will run for n minus 2 times. So here the order is n minus 2. Now then only it will tell whether the number is prime or not. If at all it is not a prime number, it will return directly, but if at all it is a prime number, it will run for n minus 2 times. Now let us see the second option. In the second option, what we have done is we have reduced the number of iterations. So you can see we are running the loop from 2 to n by 2. That means here we are reducing the iteration to half of it. So the number of iterations will be n by 2 minus 1. Now again, for example, as I told the number, if I take it as 49, 49, it is 7 into 7. So I need not run the loop again till half of it. So what we have done here is we have taken the square root of that number and we are running from 2 to only square root of the given number. And we are checking whether it is a prime number or not. So again the order is reduced. So the order is reduced to almost log n. Now again taking the square root. Now any odd number, is it divisible by any of the even numbers? No. So what we are doing here is, as soon as we find the square root, we are first checking whether it is an even number. If it is even number, directly we are returning that it is not a prime number. Now, if it is an odd number, I need not check whether it is divisible again by 2, 4, 6, 8 and so on. So what we are doing is, again we are starting the loop from 3 and we are incrementing the value by 2. So first I will check whether the number is divisible by 3. Second, again I will check whether the number is divisible by 5. Next 7, 9 and so on. So here again we are reducing the number of iterations. So this is what is optimizing the code. So as I told, you have multiple ways of solving the problem, but the ultimate goal is to reduce the time taken to solve the given problem. So that is what algorithms is all about. Yes, so till now we have covered divide and conquer, brute force technique. So there are two other major strategies in algorithms. One is greedy technique and one is dynamic programming. To understand how dynamic programming works to reduce the time complexity or to reduce the number of operations that is performed again and again. So let us take an example of Fibonacci series. So you can see this is the tree structure that we get. So here we have taken the example of Fibonacci of the 6th term. So what is the 6th term? So it will in turn call 5th term and 4th term. Again this in turn will call 4th and 3rd. So you can see how many terms the 3rd term is called, how many terms the 2nd term is called. So here the same value we are calculating multiple times. So this can be reduced by dynamic programming approach. Dividing the problem into sub-problems, solving the sub-problems and using the stored values for solving the next major problem. So this is what is an example for understanding dynamic programming. So in this video, we have come across data structures, all the types of data structures, that is list, stack, queues, trees and graphs. We have seen two examples, that is how to solve the MCQs, and then we have come across the algorithms where we saw what is the time complexity. We came across searching algorithms, we came across sorting algorithms, the approaches in searching and sorting algorithm. So here we saw brute force and divide and conquer, again in sorting, brute force and divide and conquer. And then we saw one example to reduce the time taken to solve the given problem. And then we saw what are the two major strategies we use to solve the given problem.